Hi everybody, my name is Drew Sanaki, and I started a company called Design Public. It's a dropship e-commerce retailer. And the story of how we started in San Francisco in this warehouse where there are all these startups. And I started it in 2003, so a while ago. And across the hall from us was a podcasting company. These guys were working on podcasting, and you know, our company was getting going, and we were making a couple $100s a day. Then it was like $1,000. Like, we're starting to roll. And then these guys across the hall start sending us texts like, "We're going to get burritos. We're going. We just went to the bathroom." And it was like, all right, like, what are these guys doing? Guys, we're running a business over here. Like, we're selling furniture, and could you stop, with these meaningless texts? And they rebranded. They became Twitter. They were Odeo. And it was like we ultimately furnished their first office. So it's sort of like the relative values of the two companies, Design Public and Twitter, are reflected in that fact that we furnished their office, and like the asses of Twitter are on Design Public. So anyway, I sold the company in 2012. And I moved on to micro private equity, which is kind of like buying and selling small online properties, much like Rob did with Hittail. I work with a guy named Dominic Ang, and he's back there raising his hand. And we're buying SaaS apps. So if you have a SaaS app, particularly in like marketing analytics, we'd love to talk to you. DrewSanaki.com is where the magic happens. And that was my Twitter handle at the bottom. So this is the big idea. This is what I want to talk about today. And when I think about product market fit, I kind of think of it as binary. Like, you either have it or you don't. And before you have it, all your effort and activity and marketing dollars should be spent on finding product market fit. And once you have it, though, how do you grow? And that's the question that I'm going to answer here, and sort of what I attribute our growth from, a couple $100,000 to $5 million in revenue has to do more with that. And I argue that the highest ROI thing you could spend your money on, the highest ROI use of your time, is number one, in identifying your best customers, and number two, growing more of them. So it's not growth hacking. It's not more users for the sake of more users. It's not more revenue without regard to profit. It's really a two-step process. You got to find your best customers, and then you got to grow that high lifetime value user base. And why is that? Why is that the highest ROI thing you can do? It's because every dollar you spend on retaining one of your best customers does double duty. So you increase the value for your current best customers, and yet you also increase the value of future best customers that you pull into your company through your marketing funnel. So every dollar spent on retention of your best customers is super high ROI. I'm going to walk you through both steps and how we approach them. And show of hands, how many e-commerce retailers are here? Oh, actually, I thought there'd be zero, so there are two. I tried to abstract these lessons to SaaS because I figured that it was primarily a SaaS audience, and I think they still apply. So first step, identify your best customers. Any business has a range of customers, and not all customers are created equal. So it's just an example. You may have, in this case, 20% really bad customers. These are the customers who order once and then maybe return. They take up a lot of customer service time, or they sit on your freemium plan or your lowest tier plan. And again, just don't really add a lot to your business. And then you've got a big group of people sort of in the middle. And at the top, you have your highest LTV customers. And they're the ones who are on your premium pricing tier. And they order from you all the time. They don't take up a lot of customer service time. And these are the ones you want to focus on and grow your business around. How we did it at our company, how we segment, I guess, based on that previous chart, the next question is like, well, how do you figure out who are the best, medium, and the worst customers? There's software to do it, but we used three simple metrics: recency, frequency, and monetary value. So how recently a customer purchased, total number of purchases from a customer, and then the total dollars that customer spent. And we just built a spreadsheet that ranked our customers from best to worst along those 3 metrics. And using that spreadsheet, we figured out, okay, like the top 20% of our customers are driving our business. They drive over 50% of our revenue. So that's the one that we want to grow. For SaaS, you can't really use RFM as much. You would just calculate LTVs of the various customer groups. And I think Kissmetrics does this. So the question is, like, once you've identified your best customer segment, how do you create more of them? And this is the clip art that came up when I searched for creating more best customers. That's what it looks like. It looks like mannequins. So there are 3 ways to grow your best customers. The first is you retain more of them, so you reduce the churn from your best customers. The second is customer development, and that is, are there ways to take your worst customer and turn them into a good customer? That's really hard. And then the third is acquiring more of them. So different marketing campaigns bring in different kinds of customers. Can you focus in on the ones that bring in the highest value customer to your business? Here's an example of retention. We noticed at our business that, again, e-commerce, so no recurring revenue, but we noticed that for our best customers, they were ordering every 60 days, and that would go on for almost a year. And then they'd drop off, they would buy furniture from another brand. So we figured, how are we going to extend that customer life cycle? And we set tripwires. We set tripwires at 60 days, and we figured if a customer goes beyond that 60-day window and they haven't ordered from us, more likely than not, they won't. They'll disappear. So let's set up a promotion ladder. This is the image for promotion ladder, where at 70 days, the customer gets a 10% off coupon. At 90 days, they get 15% off coupon, and 110 days, 20% off coupon. So set it up. We carved out 10% of our customer group for a control, and we sent this promo to the other 90%. And it got us like a 400% return on marketing spend. So that's, for every $1 you give me, I give you back your $1 plus 4. And that was over 3 to 6 months, I think. So super high ROI. And just that's the kind of leverage you get when you can identify your best customer and extend their life cycle. So in the SaaS world, it's like reducing churn. And it's called tripwire marketing. For SaaS, I think the biggest red flag there is probably the customer's last login time. So if you monitor that over time or chart it against the likelihood of a customer canceling their subscription, I think you find like a super high correlation. Obviously, it's going to be different for different businesses, but for most, I would zero in on that last activity date like a hawk, and I would have alerts going off, bells and whistles that tell me like, this cohort of customers is about to defect. Like they're going to cancel their subscription because they haven't logged into my app in X days. And this is where I want to spend my marketing dollars. I want to call these guys, get on the phone, or I want to set up an automated email campaign to go hit them with an offer to just ask why they haven't used our service. So because I was limiting this to 10 minutes, I was going to talk through examples of all 3. But just quickly on this slide, development is one of the hardest things you can do because in the lingo of database marketers, customers are born, not made. So it's very hard to create a good customer from a bad customer. You're usually better off just trying to attract more good customers. But the way you can approach development is by looking for bridges. Like what are the key feature sets or target products that a customer will use that cause them to bump up from, say, a freemium level of pricing to a paid. And so once you've got your product market fit, you could spend some time trying to figure out like what is that unique feature set that causes some of my freemium users to start paying for my product or causes some of my low tier guys to go to a higher pricing tier. And once you identify those, again, you wrap your marketing around it. You automate your email campaigns that highlight those features. The last example of acquisition, one of the best things you can be doing is logging the the marketing acquisition campaign for every customer you have. So Google Analytics gives you aggregate data, but it's not really that actionable on a customer by customer level. So every time you get a customer, what we did was just log the Google Analytics cookie information in your database with that customer information. And then you go through that process of bucketing your customers. You find that these guys are the best, and this other group is the worst. And you're going to see a difference in marketing acquisition campaign. Like SEO and maybe content marketing pulled in all my best customers. Pay-per-click pulls in all my crappy customers. So that tells you how to allocate resources inside your firm. And you'll even find out that you can get that very, very granular. In our case, we found certain ad groups drove really high LTV customers, but other ad groups did not. And if you only measured the first interaction with our business, we'd want to spend the same amount on both ad groups. But once we layered this LTV insight on top of that, it told us, hey, we can really spend up on some of these ad groups, and we can take the money from the other ad group, and we'll come out ahead. So I guess what I'm really 10 minutes. What I'm really advocating here is a mindset change. This is the last slide. Before product market fit, everybody, I think, has that mindset that you've got to find the right solution for a problem. After you've got it, I think it's more about finding the right customers for your solution. Focus tends to move from acquisition to churn, from revenue to cash flow. And that's why I think this customer-centric approach is really relevant to solo founders and to bootstrappers, because a venture-backed company usually just cares about growth, and they care about users, and doesn't have to be profitable growth. But for us here, where the growth is kind of being financed by our own time and by our own dollars, I think it really would behoove us to think in terms of just overall lifetime value and profitable growth. So that's all I've got.
Thank you.
Sure.